Hello, friends. Today we have a new idea from Pavel. We're bringing you a weekly roundup from Tech Stack Nation with quick tips, picks, and updates in a fun and short format. If you want us to do more like this, then to let us know. Leave a comment down below. Watch to the end to find out how to win a free week of access to our premium events. Thanks to our friends at datagrid for sponsoring this episode. If you'd like to become a sponsor or hire from our group, or if you'd like to join our live discussions, we're going to circle back to that at the end, so stay tuned. Okay, first let me introduce our panel. We've got Aristides Pampakos, Angular GDE, best-selling author and one of our Tech Stack community leaders. How are you doing, Ari?
Hello, Bonnie. I'm great. I'm very excited about this new initiative. Really, really excited. Yeah, thanks.
We're excited to have you here. Okay, Connie couldn't join us this week, but she is going to be with us on our panel, so we're going to come back to her. Hopefully she'll be with us next week. Connie's another awesome Angular GDE and full stack enterprise architect. Then we've got Dylan Hall, seasoned full stack developer, aspiring architect, and aspiring Angular GDE. How are you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing great, actually, and I'm really happy to be here today.
We're happy to have you. All right, next up, we've got Pavel. Last but not least, our next generation expert. And Pavel is the one who came up with the idea for this podcast. Hello, Pavel.
Yeah.
Great idea. Thank you.
I thank all of you that you have managed to join this great idea, even that we are hosting it on the Tech Stack Nation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks, Pavel.
Thanks for coming up with it. This will be fun. Okay, so we're going to go in alphabetical order. Aristides, what you got for us?
Yeah. Recently, actually during the last couple of years of my career, I see many developers struggle when they want to use a tool either in front-end or back-end development. And they usually try to install a third-party library for accomplishing a specific task. For example, for back-end development, if you are a Node.js developer and you want to create a mechanism for generating unique identifiers, then sometimes they go and grab a third-party library, install it, and use it. But very few know that Node.js has already built in a package that does the same thing. It generates unique identifiers for your project. Also, the same story is on the front-end part, where if you want to interact with the local storage of the browser, most people go find the third-party library and install it and start using it. But I would recommend if you are especially an Angular developer, I would recommend to write your own wrapper over the browser local storage and benefit from the dependency injection mechanism of Angular for doing this.
All right. Those are good tips. Did you have another one? Did you have a pick for us?
Yeah. Last week, I watched a documentary from Honeypot. Honeypot is a YouTube channel which is called the Netflix for developers. And the documentary was about the history of Node.js. Did you know that Node.js started on 2008? That's a lot of years back, right? So
seems like
this documentary
yesterday.
This documentary was about the history of Node.js, and they actually described how they started, what were some pain points with the ownership of Node.js, and also some corporate background stuff from the company that acquired it back then. I would highly recommend to watch it. Also, Honeypot has other documentaries as well for other technologies like Vue.js, TypeScript, and very soon, for Angular.
Ooh, nice.
Dylan, I think you also watched the same documentary, and I would really love to tell me your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that documentary. What I really enjoyed about it is how well it was put together. It talked about the origins, why it was created, Node.js, how it was developed. But what I especially liked was something that can come up with developers is you can have conflicts with other developers or with maybe the sponsor of your project. And so I remember this time when actually Node.js kind of split into two different communities. So there was the Node.js, which was going one way, and then Joyent, and it was going the other way. And then what I like in the documentary is how they mended their difficulties. They came back together. And today we really benefit from all of that. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that documentary.
Nice. And of course, we're going to put a link in the description box down below, so make it really easy for you if you want to see that. Thank you, Aristides. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that yet. Now I want to go watch it. After you and Dylan convinced me, now I want to see it.
Oh, fun.
Cool. Cool. All right. Thanks, Ari. Dylan, what you got for us?
Yeah, so a lot of folks have followed the upgrade guide that Angular provides to upgrade their applications to versions like 15, 16, or 17. And so what often happens is that the upgrade goes well and the version changes for their application or their Angular application, but perhaps they have some components that are still standalone, for example, or they haven't taken advantage of the latest syntax. That many people do not realize that there's actually like a standalone set of migration scripts and options. So what those scripts do is they actually go through your components, for example, and change directives like ngIf and ngFor and change them into the new flow syntax. Or they might take your components and change them from not standalone to actually standalone components, and they'll also do the pipes as well. So I recently ran those scripts and actually found they work quite well. They even can do things like remove your modules, so you won't depend on modules. You'll have a completely standalone application. There's even an option for changing the bootstrapping. So if you make a new application, it's usually like app.config.ts, but if you have an existing application, it can change that and bootstrap the main.ts. So it's really a really good tool to use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dylan, I was recently using that. So I was working with that. And I also noticed one thing during all the changings from the modules to standalone, that it only converts the components or pipelines which are connected to the routing. So Angular already also knows when the component is used or not. So that was really great to also mention that part. I really like that part, that I don't have to even think about if this component is still used or not.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really
Good tip.
intuitive. Yeah. Great.
And then
Yeah.
Dylan, you had something about ESBuild?
Yes, that's right. ESBuild. So once again, in upgrading to the latest versions, persons might not take advantage of the new build targets that they can use. So in your Angular.json, for example, you might have like a target builder that is using build Angular :browser. You can change that to application. And what that does is it allows you to take advantage of ESBuild. So the ESBuild exposes you to the modern ecosystem of faster builds and things like Vite. And so once again, I've tried this out, and the developer experience is really, really great. You get faster build times when you're doing development and debugging, and also it has implications for the production environment as well. So that's something I'd highly recommend persons do, is check out ESBuild and see if it works for them. I'm sure it will, and they'll experience something really great with that.
Nice. Thanks, Dylan. All right, Pavel, it's your time to shine, my friend. What you got for us?
Cool. Well, I will connect to the thing which was Dylan talking, and that was for the ecosystem. But I will be talking about the ecosystem in Angular, which is changing by a little, and this change was shown to us last week, I think. And that was on the
I think it was the week before last. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. It was recently. We just put it up on the YouTube channel. So
exactly. Yeah. Basically, it was the change in Angular compiler, which was basically shown to us by Dylan Hunt and Miles Malherbe. And they were talking about the changing part in the compiler, which is really important for us. Even for the Angular team, we can say, because they are still trying to improve all the things. But one of these things was to change the one thing in the compiler, which is the template definition builder, and they rewrite it and change it. So it was a huge monolithic file, and they basically put it down and put it onto the separate parts, which is going to work faster for Angular team to improve and add new features for us. For example, like signal-based component, zoneless, or selectorless, which is really important also in the features incoming by. But yeah, that's the part about the about template pipeline. Yeah.
It was really cool because I think they said it was meant to be like invisible. Like you might not actually notice. Hopefully you won't notice any of these changes.
Yeah.
But it's really going to clean things up under the hood for the Angular team to make it easier for them to make more improvements. So it's important, but you might not see it.
Yep. That's good for mentioning. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anyway, I was. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. With all this, I just want to say first that with all these less things in Angular, for example, componentless that you mentioned, or zoneless. I hope that in Tech Stack Nation, we don't have a Pavel-less.
That's a good joke.
Yeah.
Well,
And sorry, if you have, you just remind me of a discussion we had with Miles from the Angular team that day, where I asked him about a problem that I had with overriding the Angular material, which is a no-no according to the Angular team. And he told me that it would be better, especially for material 3, to use CSS variables and get benefits from the theming from Angular material.
That's 100% correct. Even they are showing that basic example in the docs, in the material docs. They are showing you how to override the CSS variables on the fly. And I was asking the Miles, thanks for giving me a tip there. I was also asking the Miles about the recent changes in the Angular Material 3. For example, they are planning to switch from the experimental mode to the stable mode. He couldn't promise because I didn't want to put him on the spot with when is this change gonna be. But yeah, they are probably want to make it on Angular 18. But if they won't, we have still minor versions to update, which Angular team show us that they are doing. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Last but not least, I have a tip for you guys. This is a very common question that I get a lot of people when they just start to get into architecture. One of the most common questions that I hear so much when you start working on bigger projects is, how do I organize my files? Because everything gets kind of messy when it starts to grow, right? So my tip for you guys is the Angular style guide. Listen, even if you're not using Angular, if you're just getting into larger projects, most of the stuff in the style guide is not specific to Angular, but there are some really good tips in there specifically about how to keep your files organized, naming conventions, things like that. I would highly recommend it. And it's just been updated by the Angular team, so now it's all fresh and new. Anyway, that's my tip. My pick is we have some upcoming events in Tech Stack Nation. This Friday, Matthew Riegler from the Angular team, that's going to be really cool with the unified state change events. He's going to be talking about that. Next Friday, also very cool, we have the Signals JavaScript proposal discussion. That's so exciting. Dan Ehrenberg from the TC39 committee, also the proposal author. We're going to have Ben Lesh, who is the RxJS core team lead and a key proposal contributor, plus Alex Rickabaugh from the Angular team, who also was a key Angular Signals author. All of them are coming.
Nice.
Yeah,
so exciting.
That's going to be cool. Yes. Okay, so both of those events are coming up this Friday and next Friday. This Friday, Matthew Riegler in our experts channel. Next Friday, we've got the Signals proposal, guys. It's going to be very cool. RSVP on techstacknation.com if you want to join us live. Final thoughts. Yes.
Because you mentioned the unified change event.
Yes.
This is a very recent thing in Angular, and for those developers that don't know what it is actually a unified management of all those observables that you already have for reactive forms, for example, status changes or value changes. All these are triggered into a single callback, and we can handle them more unified. And that's why it's called unified change management.
And I believe this also closed an old GitHub issue that had been out there for a while.
Yeah, that's right. So, I think it was one of the oldest.
Well,
yeah.
But
go ahead, Pavel.
We should also remind ourselves that we should talk less because this is for Connie part, so we shouldn't be spoiling out.
That's okay. So that's coming up. So Matthew Riegler, who is the one who opened that PR on the Angular team, he's so cool. The mysterious Jean Mesh, he's going to be with us this Friday. Next Friday, we have the Signals proposal. It's going to be very cool, so be sure to join us. Quick shout out to our community sponsor, datagrid, the company behind the amazing charts that Mana demoed for us last week. That's another new one on our YouTube channel, these AG charts demo that we had last Friday. Brand new on our YouTube channel, very cool. So the AG charts, AG grid, the world's best and fastest enterprise data grid. If you want to sponsor an active community of 6,000 developers and architects with live events year round, email sponsors@techstacknation.com and apply to become a sponsor. Speaking of our 6,000 developers and architects, if you're looking for remote talent, we can help you with that too. If you're hiring and you'd like access to an elite group of developers and architects, email hiring@techstacknation.com. Also, last thing. Okay, we've known each other a long time, right? But this is our first weekly roundup, so we really want to know what you think. If you enjoyed this video and you want us to do more, like and let us know. Subscribe if you want to see the next ones. And if you want to join our live groups, if you want to turn your cameras on, nerd out with us and our friends, leave a comment down below, because we're going to pick one comment each week to win a free 1-week trial to our Founders Pass, which will give you access to all of our exclusive premium events, including our weekly career and architect study groups and our Expert Fridays. Thanks again to our sponsor, AG Grid, and thanks to our panelists, Aristides, Dylan, and Pavel. Have a great week, and we'll see you in the next video.
Have a great
Bye.
week. See you next week.
See you guys.